We are very happy to welcome you all for weekly Sunday Fish program at our ISKCON Farmington Hill Temple. Today's Sunday Fish class will be given by Her Grace Hemanga Gopi Mataji. Please allow me to say a few words about Hemanga Gopi Mataji. Hemanga Gopi Mataji was born in devout Vaishnava family. She has been practicing Krishna consciousness since 1996. She is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and she has been preaching Krishna consciousness since 2003 in Singapore, Jacksonville, Florida, and Alucha. Currently, she is residing with her family and sharing the message of Bhagavad Gita in Windsor, Canada. Mataji and her family has become part of our ISKCON Farmington Hill congregation. She was actively conducted Sunday school for children and Vaishnavis program at Singapore and Florida. Currently, she is the coordinator of monthly Vaishnavi program, that is exclusively ladies program at our ISKCON Farmington Hill Temple. I strongly believe that Mataji's realization and her in-depth understanding of topmost scriptures Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and a sincere desire to share glories of this wonderful scripture would definitely help us to faith in our understanding towards Krishna consciousness. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We would like to welcome you all on behalf of ISKCON Farmington Hills.
Hare
It's a beautiful day. It's Ekadashi. It's a very special day. And today we have all come together to glorify the Lord and His devotees. So, we'll be discussing from this wonderful scripture, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Before I begin, I would like to take the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and the Lord. Om Ajnana Tasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadhantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtavaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Chacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashyatya Yadeshakarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So today we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is chapter 12. That's entitled as Devotional Service. So kindly repeat behind me. This is text 2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Maya Veshya Mano Yema
Maya Vesha Mano Yema
Nitya Yukta Upasate
Nitya Yukta Upasate
Shraddhaya Parayopeta
Shraddhaya Parayopeta
Teme Yukta Tamamataha.
Teme Yukta Tamamataha.
Would anybody else would like to recite? Go ahead.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Maya Veshya Mano Yema
Maya Vesha Mano Yema
Nitya Yukta Upasate
Nitya Yukta Upasate
Shraddhaya Parayapeta
Shraddhaya Parayopeta
Teme Yukta Tamamataha.
Teme Yukta Tamamataha.
Any Mataji's would like to recite?
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Vesha Mano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopeta Tene Yukto Tamamataha.
This whole Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. And Arjuna is asking questions and Krishna is dispelling those doubts and answering them for him. And before this verse, the text 1, Arjuna is asking a question again. He's saying, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? He's clearly asking, should we do the deity worship or should we meditate on the Brahman form? We always ask questions even in the spiritual circles or in our work. Everywhere we have some questions. And we expect the person who is answering to give us a direct answer. Not a beat about, roundabout answer. Maybe this, maybe that. This is also okay, that is also okay. That answer doesn't satisfy us. We want a concrete answer. So that could be given only by our Lord Krishna. So this verse he's answering, which is more perfect. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, would you like to repeat behind me? Those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith. I are considered to be by me to be most perfect. So the Lord is actually giving a very clear answer that He wants us to do the personal deity worship that's considered to be the most perfect. And when we have an answer, we feel like it's very hard to practice it. And we wish there was examples. There was some way somebody could show us how to do that. So here today, we have these two great devotees. They are called Gauridas Pandit and Srila Rupa Goswami. Today we are observing the disappearance day of these two great Vaishnavas. And what does disappearance mean? Like, who are new to this terminology, we say appearance and disappearance. Like for us, we say that we were born, so then we passed away. But for the special souls, when they appear, they don't come to this material world based on their desire. They come based on the Lord's desire to enact some pastimes. That's why we call that they appear, and when they leave the planet, they go back to join the Lord in their pastimes. So we call it as the disappearance day. So it's both a celebration day, it's both appearance and disappearance. So today being a very special disappearance, let's see that how these two great Vaishnavas, how they exemplify this verse. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains this verse. He says, in answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one, in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna. Or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna. Or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. Beautiful explanation, like sometimes we read the verse and we read the translation and we have a hard time understanding it. And Srila Prabhupada explains that in more detail. That's why we need purpose of Srila Prabhupada to show us the right way how to practice bhakti. So we're going to discuss the glories of Gauridas Pandit and Srila Rupa Goswami today. So, Gauridas Pandit. Just to give you that, these personalities are not regular people like us. They look and act in a way, but they are special personalities from the spiritual world. In Krishna Lila, he was Subal, one of the very close associates. There are 12 Dwadasha Gopals of Krishna, very close Gopals. In that, there are 6 Gopals who are very, very, very close, and they are called Priya Narma Sakas, very close. In that, the head is Subal. No pastimes happens in Krishna Lila and Vrindavan without Subal. So, and Subal came and appeared in Chaitanya Lila as Sri Gauridas Pandit. And his father was Kamashri Mishra and his mother's name was Srimati Kamala Devi. So I just have some details about his birth, saying that he had 5 brothers, Damodar, Jagannath, Suryadas, Krishnadas and Nrsimha Chaitanya. And his elder brother Suryadas, he was a very important post he had, and he was awarded the title Sarkel. And why am I mentioning just one brother? Because later the 2 daughters of Suryadas Sarkel, Srimati Vasudha and Janava, they got married to Nityanand Prabhu. So he's like father-in-law almost there. So that is their relationship, they are so close. But he always saw Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu as his worshipable deities. So he maintained that relationship, even though on the material platform he was elderly and older, like a father-in-law to Nityanand Prabhu, but he worshipped them as his life and soul. So when have anyone visited Ambika Kalna in Mayapur? That's the place where you can actually, he lived, Gauridas Pandit, and there is a copy of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, personally handwritten by Mahaprabhu. And he gifted that to Gauridas Pandit. So this special soul, he appeared in a place called Shaligram. And from there, he wanted to live close to Ganges. So he took permission from his brothers that can I move to Ambika Kalna, where it is closer to the Ganges on the western border. And the brothers gave the permission and he moved and he resided, Gauridas Pandit resided in a place called Ambika Kalna. And that place, Mahaprabhu wanted to come and visit him before he took sannyas. At the age of 24, when Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas, he and Nityanand Prabhu personally came to meet Gauridas Pandit before they went on to the mission of taking sannyas and preaching this mission to the world. So how Mahaprabhu came was, he had to cross the Ganges. So to cross the Ganges, he had to take the help of a boat. So Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, they rowed a boat personally by themselves, and when they crossed the river, the oar that Mahaprabhu used for crossing, he took that and he gave it to Gauridas and he said, "Here, take this oar. Use this to cross the ocean of material sufferings and bring all the souls back to Godhead." And he gifted that to him.
Haribol.
So if you happen the good fortune that we all could go and visit Ambika Kalna, we could have darshan of this special oar that Mahaprabhu personally gifted, and also the Bhagavad Gita that he personally wrote. It's still there in the temple. And just not that, there is more. So when Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu visited Ambika Kalna, Gauridas Pandit became so happy that his heart's deities are in front of him. He welcomed them and he gave them a place to sit. He cooked wonderful prasad for them. He fed them very nicely. and he was fanning them as they were eating, and he was so happy. After all the nice exchanges they had, Mahaprabhu said, "Thank you so much, Gauridas, for such a nice welcome, and I'm so happy that I got to meet you before moving on in my mission of taking sannyas and preaching to the world. We would like to take leave now. Like, we all have guests who come to our house, we serve them prasad, and then there's a time that comes we have to bid farewell and they have to leave." And this was a very special moment when the Lord, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu were ready to move. Gauridas went and caught hold of their Lord's feet, and he said, "No, no, no, please, you cannot go. How can you leave me? I cannot tolerate the separation from you. You have come to our house and I don't want you to go anywhere." And his love was so real from his heart that Mahaprabhu's heart melted. He could not move. He is Bhakta Vatsala. He's conquered by the love of the devotees. So seeing the love of Gauridas Pandit, he said, "If you so desire, we will remain here. But still, I have appeared here and there is a mission to accomplish. I have to also go. So let's do something like that." And he said that he saw a neem tree nearby. And he said, "Gauridas, please carve a deity of myself and Nityananda. And don't worry if you don't know how to carve. You just start and we will manifest in that neem tree. And you can start worshipping the deities and we can leave." And Gauridas, as soon as he said, he didn't doubt that he doesn't know how to carve. He just went on to the task of carving the neem tree. And the Lord ships manifested from the deities, in the form of deities. And Mahaprabhu personally embraced those deities and he said, "These deities are non-different from us too. So you could worship them, show your love to them, you can cook for them, you can have conversations with them. They are there personally here. And we will go and preach." And for a minute, Gauridas stopped. "Really? That's really nice. So you say that you are non-different from the deity and yourself?" And Mahaprabhu said, "Yes." "Okay. Then let the deities go for preaching. You both stay here." So Mahaprabhu was like, okay, our devotees are very clever, right? So Mahaprabhu said, "Okay, if that's your desire, we will do that." And immediately Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu turned into deities, and the deities began to walk out. And Gauridas saw, this is really happening. And he ran and he caught the deities' legs. He said, "No, no, no, I want you to stay and them to go." And then he said, "Okay, as you say." And the deities stopped, and Mahaprabhu, in the form of deities, now changed and they started walking out. And again, this went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth so many times that Gauridas could not find out which one was the deity that he carved and who are the real personalities who started this whole Leela in the first place. And he said, "I surrender to you, my Lord, whatever is your desire. Let one set of deities stay here and one set of deities go for the preaching." So that's the love between the Lord and his devotee. They just love so much each other that they can't be separated from each other. So, and then what happened? The deities, beautiful worship. Now that he understood these deities are non-different from Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, he cooked elaborately and he served them so nicely. Because he just didn't have faith, like Radha Gopi Janavallabhai's here is an understanding, it's a faith. But he was experiencing that faith. That's another step higher to it. Experiencing that faith means he personally saw that. And the lordships would talk to him. The lordships one day would change into Krishna and Balaram and say, "Oh Gauridas, do you remember? Subha, you were. Did you remember the past time that we would go and you went to Radharani's house like you dressed like her because you have a golden form?" And they would have such a laugh over it, and it was such a personal exchange that Gauridas was having with the deities on the altar. So this was beautiful, and he was not very rich, but he had a feeling in his heart that Mahaprabhu is personally here, the lordships. I want to decorate them very beautifully with opulent jewels, and I want to put nice clothing on them, but I don't have the money to procure all these things. And he was feeling in his heart, and when he opened the curtain to do the worship, the lordships manifested in that opulent dress. And he was like, wow, this is what I wanted to worship them with. So the Lord was reciprocating, and then Mahaprabhu said, "Do not worry, Gauridas, that you don't have to keep up the standards. Whatever simple flowers that you could offer, that's all is needed. I am happy and satisfied." So he calmed them down that way, and still Gauridas would go out of his way. He would beg, he would ask alms from people so that he could serve the Lord. That was his devotion, that he wanted to give everything in the service of the Lord. And then, do you all want to see that watch?
Haribol!
Gaur Nityananda. So let's go to Ambika Kalna. So before we enter the temple, this is the tamarind tree where Mahaprabhu met first when he came to Ambika Kalna, Gauridas Pandit. And these are his lotus footprints that are there under this tamarind tree. And here is a plum tree under which Nityananda Prabhu got married to Janava and Vasudha Devis. So this is a very, very special place. So if you happen to visit Mayapur in the near future, please don't leave out Ambika Kalna. So here comes the house of Gauridas Pandit. So that was the exterior and this is the inside. And here comes Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. These are the personal deities worshipped by Gauridas Pandit. How special. So these deities did a lot of play and pastimes in the house of Gauridas Pandit. So Gauridas Pandit also had a very nice disciple by the name Hridayananda. So Hridayananda was a very, very, very sincere disciple who was engaged in the service of doing the deity worship every day. So once there is a festival of Gaur Purnima, Mahaprabhu's appearance day was coming. So Gauridas was so happy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day is coming. We have to celebrate it very grandly. So let me go out and go further away so I can beg and take alms from people so we can celebrate the Mahaprabhu's appearance day very grand. So he said, till I return, please take care of the worship. And I pray that I'll come back before Mahaprabhu's appearance day. And he went, Gauridas went out town to town to collect funds. And he was waiting. There was no emails and texts and WhatsApps to tell that I'm running 5 minutes late and I'll be there. That's what I was doing as we were crossing the immigrations today to reach the temple. They didn't have that facilities. So Hridayananda was waiting and waiting and waiting. There was only 3 days left for Mahaprabhu's appearance day. And he said, he has not come, my master has not come. How will I arrange? I want to celebrate this and my guru will be happy if I also start making arrangements. So he, out of service attitude, he started writing invitations for the local people to invite them to make arrangements for the festival. And when Gauridas returned, he saw that his disciple had already started writing invitations and sending out. In a transcendental way, he was happy internally, but he wants us to teach a lesson that whatever the disciple does has to take permission from his spiritual master. So he said, how dare, in my absence, that you started acting independently, that you started writing invitations and began the celebrations by your own without my permission. So he just got a transcendental anger, and he said, you are not allowed for the Gaur Purnima festival in the temple. You go, you make your own arrangements, go and celebrate your own festival by yourself. Hridayananda was feeling very sad, but he understood whatever the Guru does is for my good. And he went to the banks and he was alone sitting there and praying. And since he had sent out invites, people knew that he's such a nice devotee. And he just took his kartals and he began chanting Lord's names and having kirtan. And devotees started coming. And they were having such a beautiful kirtan. It was melting everyone's heart. You know what happened when the heart melts of Krishna? Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu from the altar, these deities, they went and joined the kirtan. They left the altar and they went to the banks of river where Hridayananda was chanting with his the people, devotees there. And they were dancing there in the kirtan. And when Gauridas opened the curtain to offer, there were no deities. And the pujari who was helping him there said, Gauridas, where are the deities? The deities are gone. And Gauridas said, I know where they're gone. So he picked up a stick. He said, I will go get them. I know where they are. He took a big stick and he ran. He said, I am coming after you. How dare you? Again, you promised me not to leave me. Even in the deity forms that you have left now. And he runs with it, chasing with that stick to the banks of the Ganges where they were having the festival. Nobody knew, but Gauridas could see that these two are dancing there. And then they saw how a kid knows when the mother is coming with a stick. So Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu saw that Gauridas is coming chasing with a stick, they didn't know where to hide. So they jumped inside the heart of Hridayananda. And Gauridas was seeing this, the Lord jumping into the heart of Hridayananda to hide out of fear. And he cried, he let the stick go, he fell down in the feet of Hridayananda, he embraced him. He was loudly saying, Hari, 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 Hari. What a scene that I'm seeing, that Hridayananda, you have captured God Nityananda in your heart. Your name is not Hridayananda. From today you will be called Hridaya Chaitanya, because in your Hridaya, Chaitanya took residence. So that's the wonderful pastimes that took place in this Ambika Kala. So let's all remember Gauridas Pandit in this beautiful day. Gauridas Pandit ki
Jai.
So after he saw that Mahaprabhu personally decided, went into the heart, and he said, Hridaya Chaitanya, you are more apt to take care of the deities. Your love for them is far greater than mine. So I give you the worship of the deities. And he gave that to him, and he went on to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, he went to the temple of Dhira Samir. So many of you who know Jayadeva Goswami's song, it's a song like Dhira Samire Yamuna Tire. There is a beautiful song that Jayadeva Goswami writes where this place is very favorite to Krishna, where he does a lot of pastimes with the Gopas and the Gopis. And there he went and he started worshipping Radha Shyam Rai. And there, as he was singing the glories, he entered the Samadhi, that is the eternal pastime, as Subhava. So this is the temple of Radha Shyam Rai, and these are the deities in Vrindavan. And here is the Samadhi Mandir, and this is Subhava, his eternal form in Vrindavan, a golden Gopa, a very special Gopa. So we say, Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, he praises, I praise Hari's dear friend Subala, Krishna's foremost Priya Narmasaka. And now you can connect why he was holding his feet. I offer my obeisances unto Subala, the embodiment of overwhelming love, who loves Krishna, the moon of Gokula, so much that even in dreams he won't let go of his hand, afraid he will be separated from him, and whose heart is showered by the stream of Sri Radhika's love. So you could see how he always embraces to their lordships to keep them in his heart. So Gauridas Pandit ki Jai. So moving on, we will discuss Srila Rupa Goswami's pastimes till today. So there are 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan. These are very special devotees of Mahaprabhu, whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appointed personally, so they could make Vrindavan alive back to us. So Vrindavan got lost, all the pastimes, the places, the scriptures, they were all got lost with time. But these 6 Goswamis helped to bring back alive Vrindavan to our eyes, what we see today. So the foremost, we have Srila Rupa Goswami. The topmost maid servant of Sri Radha Krishna is Sri Rupa Manjari, who appeared as the head of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Srila Rupa Goswami. So we all are called Rupanugas. Have you ever wondered why we are called Rupanugas? Those who follow Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, we have this title that we all are Rupanugas. Anuga means to follow. So we follow Rupa Goswami. Why should we follow just Rupa Goswami? Why not anyone else? Right? We should ask these questions so we understand the deep meaning of why we are called Rupanugas. There was a pastime when Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was dancing in the Rath Yatra. And when he was dancing, he recites some special verses which nobody can understand. When he gets into the ecstasy of the separation from Radharani, he starts narrating some verses which are very confidential, and just general people and devotees around him do not understand that. But only Swarup Damodar, who was very, very close associate of Mahaprabhu, he could actually understand what Mahaprabhu was saying. But one step higher, if I say something and you can understand, that is very nice. But if you could read my mind, That's one step higher, right? So Rupa Goswami can read the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's how we say, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadamdikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? So that's how we chant in our pranam mantras when we are chanting. That please, Rupa Goswami, that you have come to establish the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya. He knows what is in his heart, so he would compose verses that is a follow-up verse for what Mahaprabhu said. So how is it possible? Unless you know him so well. So that is what is the speciality of Rupa Manjari, that is our Rupa Goswami. So getting to know him a little bit more. So Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they were brothers. So just to know where they were born in a Brahmin family of a Bharadwaja Gotra, which hailed from Karnataka. So where they had been Rajas, they were really rich people. His father's name was Kumaradev. And Kumaradev had 7 sons, and amongst them were Sanatan, Rupa, and Anupam. These 3 were Vaishnava brothers. And his house was in the village of Fatehpur in Jessore district that time. Later they moved to Ramkeli, and it is said that there was those Mughal rules, and that Mughal king, Nawab Hussain Shah, he came to know that these Rupa and Sanatan, they're just not ordinary Brahmin boys. They are very well educated and very well respected. They had such qualities that attracted everybody so nicely because of their knowledge, their renunciation, and their qualities and their humility attracted everyone. So he thought, very clever king, he thought, if I have them in my court, then I can attract the Hindus too on my side. So he actually went to Rupa and Sanatan and he said, if you both don't join my army, I will destroy all the Brahmanas. I will give them such a hard time. And so they had to agree on it. And they came to Nawab Hussain Shah's courtship, and they were given the finance and chief ministers of that time. He gave such an important role. Even though they were doing their roles so nicely, their heart was always for devotion, bhakti. They were serving the king well, but in their heart they were cherishing that when will the day come that I can go join Mahaprabhu. So one nice day came when Mahaprabhu was traveling to Vrindavan, and he made a detour. He came to Ramkeli so that he could give his mercy to Rupa and Sanatan. And when he met them, he said, when the right time comes, we will meet again. So, getting the mercy of Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami was able to get himself relieved very trickily, and he came out of his post and he came so that he could meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again in Prayag. So it is said that how he had so much wealth, like chief minister and prime ministers, you could imagine how much wealth he had. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very nicely given how he distributed those wealth. So half the wealth he gave as donation to the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. 1/4 he gave to his relatives. And another 1/4 he gave to a Brahmana whom he trusted for his future needs. So very nicely it said that how one can balance material life and the spiritual life, taking Rupa Goswami's example. And this is the place where in Ramkeli Mahaprabhu gave the mercy to Rupa Sanatan. He initiated them. They were Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. He initiated them as Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and Anupam. So after this, when Rupa Goswami left his job as chief minister and he came and he wanted to join with Mahaprabhu, he met him at Prayag. So at Prayag, they had a private talk where for 10 days Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami on the science of Krishna consciousness. So when somebody is coming new to our temple, we want to tell them that how they are not this body that we see, but you're that special soul. We start from the basics. to tell them. It looks basic, but that itself is such a vast to realize it. So Mahaprabhu also started giving classes to Rupa Goswami on this subject matter of body and the soul and what is spiritual and higher Krishna consciousness. So he says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. So that Jiva, who after circulating all the Brahmanda, if he gets the mercy of Guru and Krishna, what does he get? What is the gift that he gets? That's the Bhakti Lata Bij. And that is a very, very special soul. And then he tells how to take care of the seed. How do you protect the seed? What do you pour to make the seed grow? What is that water? Like the chanting and hearing of the Lord's names. And how should you protect it from all the Vaishnava parades? So all the lengthy class was happening for 10 days in Prayag, in Dashashwamedha Ghat. That is the place. So here. After getting that mercy, Rupa Goswami composed this verse glorifying and thanking Mahaprabhu. Could you all join in reciting with me? Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate
Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Gauridas Namaha.
I offer salutations to you, who are the most merciful incarnation. You who give love for Krishna, you who are Krishna, who are named Krishna Chaitanya, and whose skin is the color of gold. So this beautiful verse was composed by Rupa Goswami at that Dashashwamedha Ghat after he got all the teachings, after listening to the teachings from Mahaprabhu. And it said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that how the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and thus made the manifestation of the cosmos possible. So did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eagerly impregnated the hearts of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency so that he could revive Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, which had almost been lost to memory. So here comes a big task for Rupa Goswami now, what he got to do next. So these were the 4 orders that Mahaprabhu gave for all the Goswamis, and especially Rupa and Sanatan. Uncover Sri Krishna's lost pastime places. Install deities, start puja. Write Bhakti Shastris, propagate the rules of Bhakti Yoga. So these were the instructions given to him, and let's see how he did all these very wonderfully. So not 1, 2, or 3 books. So many books Rupa Goswami wrote. Such a big list. These 16 are just some of the important ones out of the big list. So there are many, 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 many more wonderful books that he wrote on the science of Krishna consciousness, on bhakti, how to understand that. And just one simple point that really struck me, that how he describes bhakti. You can all recite too. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmana vritam anugurena krishna nushilanam bhakti uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain, through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. So he gives such wonderful explanations in all his books. So sometimes we carry our own understanding of what bhakti is, what devotional service is. Today I feel like making pizza, let me offer that to Krishna. So we have our own understanding. So we have to check with our acharyas if that is appropriate. Am I following the right path? So we don't want to be self-proclaimed gurus. We want to follow our spiritual teachers. So we have Rupa Goswami teaching us how to practice bhakti in our daily life for Krishna. So here comes a very nice pastime where Rupa Goswami was meditating and he just thought, I wish I could make some sweet rice for my brother Sanatan. He wanted to cook. But these Goswamis were just begging door to door. They were sleeping under a tree every day. They didn't have any possessions. They were so rich that they gave up everything, and they are as mendicants in Vrindavan. But his desire was to cook sweet rice for Sanatan, his older brother. just the thought of that desire, Srimati Radharani heard it. And she personally came with a pot, milk, and the sugar, so he could cook. She could have just directly got the sweet rice and given, but that will not make Rupa Goswami happy because he wanted to cook in his own hands for his brother. So she comes personally to give all the ingredients needed so he could cook. And he was so absorbed in the thought that he wants to cook the sweet rice, he didn't notice who brought all these things to him. He just thanks, oh Gopi, thank you so much. Thank you, Lali, that you brought all these things. And he immediately started cooking the sweet rice. And when he offered that sweet rice to his brother Sanatan, and when Sanatan Goswami just tasted one morsel of that, he was crying out of ecstasy. This is not an ordinary sweet rice. And he knew this is not from this world either. And he just looked at Rupa Goswami with an emotion of anger and happiness mixed. Because the sweet rice was so tasty that he was so happy that he was relishing it. But he was so angry that Rupa made Radharani work for him. He took service from Radharani, so that mixed emotion was on his face, and he chastised Rupa Goswami that, please tell me, what did you desire? What did you think of? And Rupa Goswami said, I just desired that I want to cook and give you this sweet rice. And Sanatan said, please, we are here to serve their lordships, not to take service from them. Your desire has caused Radharani to leave her place, come down, and give you all these things, and that too for me. He felt so bad, and that was such a nice dealings of the lordships with the devotees. So after this, the next task was he has to find all the deities that were lost. Krishna's grandson, he was Brajanab. He actually found all the deities, and there were temples where he erected, and there was worship going on, but with time, they were all missing. So again, the task came on the Goswamis to find where these deities are. So Rupa Goswami was sitting under a tree as usual, and he was thinking, from where to find these deities? Where will I go? Where is this Krishna's deities now to find? And then there came a nice Gopa, Krishna, who was dressed as a little cowherd boy. He came and said, Baba, why are you so worried? Your face looks so well, you're always happy chanting the Lord's names, and you're looking so worried. And Rupa Goswami said that this is what I'm trying to find, where the Krishna's deities, the hidden deities are. And he said, oh Baba, I do know, on that hill, do you see Gomatila? There a cow comes regularly and she drops, like she flows all her milk from her udder there on the top of the hill. I think there is something under that hill. You should go check it out. And this boy, cowherd boy, went off. And Rupa Goswami was like, oh really? And he called all the villagers and he went to that Gomatila, that hill, and they dug that hill. And actually he saw that one cow was coming at a particular time and dropping all the milk on that hill. And he was amazed, and he said, yes, this is true, let's see what's below that Gomatila hill. And he dug, and a beautiful deity came up, and that was Radha Govinda Dev. Radha Govinda Dev Bhagavan Ki Jai. And then he has to build a temple. Since he was such a nice person, Raja Man Singh, he helped in building a 7-story sandstone temple for Radha Govinda Dev. Now you see only 3 stories because Aurangzeb, he was so envious when he was in his palace. When a lamp was lit on top of Govindji's mandir on the 7th floor, from his palace he could see that lamp. And he was so envious that how can a Hindu temple be higher than my palace? And he just devastated, like the 4 floors were gone. So when this Mughal rule was very powerful, they didn't want any Hindu worship to continue. All these deities had to be protected. So Radha Govinda Dev, Gopinath, Madan Mohanji, and all the temple deities, they were moved to Jaipur, so where they were protected and they were worshipped there for some years. So here comes Radha Govinda Dev, who is worshipped so elaborately. Even now he's still in Jaipur. And we had gone on a yatra many years back, and I was amazed for Mangalarti at 5. Like the whole town was running towards the temple. People were running, taking their rickshaw, they were taking their bikes. it was flooded. I was thinking, is it 5 in the morning or in the evening? Like usually the peak hours are in the evenings or in the afternoons when people are going out for work or things like that. But Mangalati time, the roads were fully packed. Every single day, even now if you go to Jaipur, you could come and see this wonderful thing. And the whole temple hall is filled with all the devotees and they are singing and glorifying Govinda there. And then coming to the conclusion, where Rupa Goswami, there is his Samadhi Mandir. Rupa Goswami was so talented, he just not wrote all those books, found all the deities, found the places of Krishna. He was so talented that he could even carve deities. He had so many different talents, like how our devotees have multiple talents, we get to know once in a while. So like that, he was so talented that when Jiva Goswami, his disciple, who is Jiva Goswami? He is his nephew and his disciple. So the Anupam's son is Jiva Goswami. So he was desiring to worship deity. So Rupa Goswami personally carved Radha Damodar deities for him. And at the temple of Radha Damodar, all the Goswamis would come and they would sit together, have Harikatha, discuss, and they had such a beautiful pastime there every single day. And that's where we have the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami. And his bhajan kutir too. And 1 month before, when Sanatan Goswami disappeared from this world, Rupa Goswami went into his samadhi and never came out of his bhajan kutir, and that's how he went back to the spiritual world as Rupa Manjari. This place is very, very, very special for all ISKCON devotees. Why?
Prabhupada.
It's because of the association with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, before he came to US to preach, he was there staying in these rooms of Radha Damodar Mandir for 6 years. And you see a window where Prabhupada is sitting and he's looking at that window. That window directly points to the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami. So Prabhupada was praying and begging that how will I go? How will I accomplish this mission? Oh Rupa Goswami, you have given me such a big task. How am I going to do this? So he was praying every day and he got the mercy of Rupa Goswami personally. And Prabhupada narrates this in many of his letters, how Rupa Goswami personally came and he empowered him and he could write. The first 2 cantos of Bhagavata was written in this room. That's how special Radha Damodar Mandir is. I wish everybody is feeling, yes, let's go on a yatra. Jai. So we are very, very, very thankful to remember these pastimes and to Srila Prabhupada who has come, who has brought all these special blessings to us, who has shown us what bhakti is, how to practice it in a very simple way, in a language that we all can understand and practice. And I was wondering that how do I summarize this whole
153.
So quickly we will sing Shat Goswami Ashtakam by Srinivas Acharya. He sings and he narrates all the qualities that anybody could give a class and cannot cover. He puts them all in the form of a song. And he describes how great these 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are. So would you all like to sing together?
Very well.
Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Boli Dhira Dhira Jana Priyo Priyataro Nirvatsaro Gujito Shri Chaitanya Kripaparo
युगो श्रीजीवगोपालको त्यक्त्वा तूर्णमशेषमण्डलपति श्रेणिं सदा भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया तौ दीनकन्ताश्रितौ गोपीपावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमार्णौ मुहुः वन्दे रूपसनातनारघुयुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको पूजा कोकिलहंससारसगणा कीर्णे मयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलवितक्रे श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने राधाकृष्णरहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जिवर्तनौ यौमुखा वन्दे रूपसनातनरघुयुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको साङ्ख्यापूर्वकनामगाननटिः कलावसानीकृतौ नेत्राहारविहारकारिविजितौ चात्यन्तलीनोच्चयौ राधाकृष्णगुणाश्रितेर्मधुरिमा नन्देन सम्मोहितौ वन्दे रूपसनातनारघुयुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको राधाकुन्दपते कलिन्दतनया गिरे च वंशीवटे प्रेमोन्मादवसन्तशेषदशया ग्रस्तौ रमन्तौ सदा गायन्तौ जगदाहरे गुणफलम् महाविभूतौ मुदा वन्दे रूपसनातनरघुयुगो
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Thank you all so much for patiently listening. And when you get some time, when you go home, please read the meaning of these verses. They're very beautiful. So since we don't have much time, I would like to stop here. And we have Janmashtami, Balram Jayanti, and we have Julan Yatra. So many festivals lined up. Please enthusiastically participate and get blessed. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.